Shalom Yasha'Allah. This is Yatazadak, Hero Israel. Before I get started, I'd like to give honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, and Ba'ashim Quadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Today we're going to Zechariah chapter 14, going to the Hebrew. So Lord willing, you're edified, giving honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Quadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Let's get right into it. Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 1. Zechariah 14 and 1, and it reads, Behold, the day cometh unto the Lord, and will be divided your spoil in your midst. Which really it says, and be portioned your prey in your midst. So it says, Hana Yawam Ba'a La Yahweh Wa Halak Shalalka Ba Kwarabka. So where Halak means a portion, Shalal meaning a prey, right? That's talking about the day when the Lord is going to fight against Jerusalem, with Jerusalem, Salakia, and defend the elect. How is that going to happen? He's going to deliver them from the midst of America, Babylon the Great, and will be given spiritual power in that day. So this is talking about basically after the remnant get delivered, right? The spoil shall be what remains of the nations, and also the nations going into captivity, right? So there's certain accounts recorded in the book Revelation, which I've gone through in the previous chapters, right? Zechariah, the book of Zechariah is important, not because it contains visions of the day of the Lord's wrath, but there's particular accounts that you can directly line up with the book of Revelation, right? So Zechariah 14 and 2, and I will gather unto all nations to Jerusalem, to the battle, and will be taken the city, and will be plundered the houses, and the women shall be violated, and they shall go out half of the city into exile, and will remain the people, and there will remain a people that will not be cut off from the city, right? Because that reminds me of Matthew chapter 25. You have the 5 wise virgins, 5 foolish virgins, which is half and half, but it's not necessarily half and half. It's just 5 out of 10. 10 represents a complete number. So it's just a part of Israel, right, that is supposed to be cut off, right? Which is you can compare it to the elect, right? The other half is not going to have the they're not going to trim their lamps, they're not going to have enough oil, right? They're not going to receive the truth, they're going to be cut off, right? The remnant are not going to be cut off. But really this is talking about right, so it says gathering all nations unto Jerusalem to the battle, right? So it's jumping back and forth between time, right? Because there has to be a elect being delivered, then placed back into their land, and there has to be a coming up against the chariots, Yahushai, right? And it says the city shall be, I'm just reading the translation on the right, the city shall be captured, because the city was captured in the desolation, right, of Jerusalem, 70 AD. The houses plundered, the women violated, right? So it's just going back and forth between time, future, and then it's going to the past. Part of the city, this is really talking about the northern kingdom being separated from the southern kingdom, right? The rest of the population, which is the southern kingdom, shall not be uprooted, right? Because the Lord promised unto David that he would always leave a lamp, right? Amongst his kindred, right? Which is why you had the Jews, which was the southern kingdom, and a few of the northern kingdom, right? But the majority were already in the Americas, have fled from the Assyrian captivity, right? That's the rest of the population that will not be cut off from the city, even though they were cut off. But after the Roman persecution, Jake was still able to flee, right, to particular parts of the world and keep their customs, which you have today, right? A small remnant throughout these various parts of the world, still keeping their the law, statutes, and commandments, right? But the majority are here in America, Babylon the Great, and right. So the Lord always kept particular men, right, keeping the way that He gave onto to the forefathers, right, to the patriarchs, right, righteous men, right. But this is really making a contrast between the latter day prophecy, the city being captured, the desolation part of the city, meaning northern kingdom will be cut off from the southern kingdom. Southern kingdom still keeping the way of the Lord, right? And them being they were cast away, but not really, because after they fled from the desolation, like I said, they weren't actually cut off from keeping their customs. Although you had, as a whole, Israel was to be forgotten, right? We all became Gentiles as a whole, but this is figuratively talking about, right, the Lord always keeping a way, right, until particular prophecies had to be manifest, right? So it says, Wa Asapathia Atha Kol Hagawayim Al Yerushalayim La Malachama Wala, or Salakia Wana Lakada, meaning that will be taken. The city Ha-Ayar Wana Shaswa, meaning plundered. The houses Ha-Bathium Waha-Nashium, meaning and the women, and the women will be ravished. Ta Shakabna Wayataza'a Chatazaya, and they'll go out half the city, Ha-Ayar, into exile, Bagala Wayathar Ha'im, and that which remaineth of the people, they will not be cut off, La'a Yakarath Man Ha'ayar, from the city. Because that word Galah actually means Galah, meaning to deport, which you see today with the Northern Kingdom is prevalent, right? Because there's always been a separation of the tribes intentionally, whether it was which it was popularized in the Assyrian captivity. You had the practice of the Assyrians placing Jake in particular parts, separating them, right, according to their functions, right. The heads were placed somewhere else, just like in the Babylonian captivity. The heads were kept as scribes and teachers of these Babylonian kings. They taught them particular understandings that they had. And then you had the base men, meaning the not the base men, but the laborers and those that relied on the heads. They were left in Jerusalem to till the land, right? So this is what it's talking about, basically. Zechariah 14:3. And he shall go out, the Lord, and he shall fight upon the nations. They like unto the day of like unto the day of their battle, in the day which he comes near. Vayetaza'ah Yahweh wana lacham bagawayim ha haham kayawam ha lachamwa bayawam korab. Right, because that word ham, it means either them or they, right, depending on context. Salakia. Zechariah 14:4. And will stand his feet in the day that is upon the Mount of Olives, which is upon the face of Jerusalem, as in before Jerusalem, to the east, and will be broken asunder the Mount of Olives, half of it unto the rising of the sun, and the west, which will be made a great valley exceedingly, and will be drawn out half of the mount to the north, and half of it to the south. Wa imadwa regalia wa bayawam hahawa al har hazayathium ashar al panya Yerushalayim makwadam wanabakwai har hazayathium machatazayawa mazaracha wayama gaya, meaning valley, great, Gadala, Ma'ad, exceedingly, Wamash, Chatazaya, and will be drawn out, or half of the Mount Har Tazapana to the north, and half Tazayawa Nagaba, and half of it to the south. So his feet, that's talking about Yahushai, right? Because when he returns, the armies are going to come past the camp of the saints, and right, he's going to fly off that fathership. The elect are going to get beamed down, right? Because he's going to do it in fashion, right? Basically, this is how it's going to happen. Just a little visual. Salakia. This is the right. This is the fathership. It's a huge shit. Right. This is the Mount of Olives. Right. Just to show you how big that ship is going to be. Right. Here's the I wish I could make it smaller, but this is how the people are gonna look. Right. The armies. Right. So Yahushua is gonna be standing here. You're gonna fly down, stand on the Mount of Olives, because that's prophesied. The elect are right. They're gonna get beamed down. Right. They're gonna be right wherever they may be. They're gonna be by the mount. Some of them are gonna be on the mount. You're gonna have the chariots. Just thousands and 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 thousands of chariots. Right, the elect are going to come down. The holy angels are going to be up here. Right. Right, so it's going to be quite a show. Slakia. So that's how it's going to happen. That mount, right, being split from the east to west, north and the south, that's basically just talking about after the armies are destroyed, right? The Lord is going to, Yahweh Bashem El Shai is going to give a command, right? This is after the armies are destroyed. So the armies are here, right? They're done. Right, they're disintegrated. Right, Mount of Olives. Then the Lord is going to send out the chariots in this direction, right, to the north, to the east, to the west, to the south. The elect, right, they're going to fly. The chariots, they're going to go as well, you know, to gather the remnant of the heathen, right? Yahushua is going to stand there, right? He's going to direct them. He's going to say, go here, go there, right? And basically taking the heathens into captivity, right? Because that word bakwai, meaning it's gonna be turned into a valley, the Mount of Olives, right? Because if you watch like Dragon Ball Z, right? Basically, another example, when you see that they scattered the Dragon Balls, you know, they're gathered here, and then they kind of get dispersed. You know, that's what's gonna happen. With the Mount of Olives, right? It's not actually going to Slakia. It's not actually going to break apart, but it's going to be one of the scenes, one of the main scenes after the destruction of the armies, right? But like I said, you know, like in Dragon Ball Z, you have particular scenes where, right, you have particular men that have fought. And, you know, they got their force field around them, you know, and when in the middle of them fighting or shooting their energy beams, you know, there's always like the surrounding areas are kind of because of all that energy, they kind of get broken up, right? So you may see the Mount of Olives kind of like shake up a little bit, or right, maybe destroyed. It doesn't say that, but so we can't speculate, but it's going to be shaken some way, somehow. But really, it's talking about um, the remnant and the chariots going out, right, to survey the rest of the remaining earth, because it's going to be a great destruction in World War III, right? Zechariah 14:5, and will be shut up the hill of the mounts, because it will touch upon the hill of the mountains unto Azal, and will be stopped up, like which was stopped up from before the quake in the days of Uzziah, the king of Judah, and will enter the Lord my God with all the holy ones uh, unto thee, right? Which is this is basically talking about the Isaiah 11:11, those that are remain from the destruction of World War III, that are dispersed throughout the whole world, which is a small amount, right? Because the majority are going to be in the valley of decision of the remnant, right? When it says stopped up, which is Satham, it's basically just talking about that it's going to be basically, because it says stopped up like the hills, the valley and the hills, as in, right? This is kind of you read about that in the book of Genesis. You get that word Satham, meaning stopped up, as in basically all these tumults and the armies, right? They're gonna be put down, done away with, right? Because you have the blue letter, which says in the King James Bible as well, it says that you shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall read unto Azal, as you shall flee, like as you fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah, right? Which is kind of a stumbling block, because it does kind of look like it says flee, but that's just talking about, right, right, that this that the that these armies are going to be done away with, right? Nobody's going to flee in that day, because, right, the only people that will flee are basically the those that remain in that land before it gets destroyed. They're going to flee. Some of them will stay in the land and be destroyed before the Lord brings back the elect and beams them back down, right, into the Holy Land after it's destroyed, right? But this is really talking about the armies just being done away with, right? Because it's going to be a great earthquake, right? Like it says in the book of Second Ezra, tempest and spark and flames are going to come out the chariots and disintegrate the armies of the earth. So it says, and will enter the Lord my power with all his holy ones with thee, right? Because that word Amka really means with thee or unto thee. But with thee, it actually means with thee. I'm with Ka thee, which is where you get the word I'm for people, right? Because your people is those that are of you. People, right? That name in Hebrew, that word in Hebrew just means with, as in your kindred, right? So it says Wana Satham Gaya, meaning a hill of the mounts. Harya Kaya Yakayai. They will stop up and will be stopped up the hills of the mount, because they shall reach the hills of the mountains. Kaya Haryam, unto Atazal, as in Azal, Al Atazal, Wanasatham, and will be stopped, like which Ka Ashar Nasatham, which was stopped up from before the earthquake. Ma Panya Ha Ra'ash, by Yamaya, in the days of Uzziah, Malak Yahawada, Waba'a Yahawah Alahaya, Kal Kwadashim Aimka. Right? Salakia. So that's basically what it's talking about. Right? And you can say, right, that you shall flee to the valley of the mountains, because really, right, when these armies try to come past the camp of the saints, right, they're going to see the chariots and they're going to kind of flee, and then they're going to still be fighting each other, and then scripture says that they're going to leave their fighting and they're going to all gather together into the valley of decision. So this is before you get to the valley of decision, right? This is when the chariots are coming, and they're basically going towards Armageddon, which is Har-Magadwan, meaning the mountain of troops. Let's look at the Bible map to see where Gabaa is. Gabaa is here, and then you have Salakia. What is it? Or Salakia, you have Azal. Salakia. Clicked on the wrong thing. Alright, so you have Armageddon, which is here, which is in the northern part of the land. So it's not talking about that part. Just to show you. Right here. Salakia. I'm going to click out of that. Which is you have let's see what I was looking for. Salakia, I'm bugging. So let's look at Azal Bible map. The Mountain of Olives. Bingo. That's what I was looking for. Which is here. That word atazal meaning next to, which is next to Jerusalem, right? Har-Magad-1. So this is just showing you that this is before the chariots get to the Valley of Decision, which is up north, right? Which is here. It's called, I believe, Megiddo, right? Which is here, which is towards the north, right? So Azal is what? A little bit more south towards the city of Jerusalem. So Megiddo is a little bit more up north, right? Which it says in the Bible Hub Atlas, it says Har-Megiddo. Har-Megiddo from the Hebrew Har-Megiddo, Mount of Megiddo. The King James Version, Armageddon, is found only in Revelation 16:16. Is described as a rallying place of the kings of the whole world, who, led by the unclean spirits issuing from the mouth of the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet, assemble here for the war of the great day of God, the Almighty. Right? But here's the point. In the history of Israel, it had been the scene of never to be forgotten battles. Here took place a fatal struggle between Josiah and Pharaoh Necho. Long before the hosts of Israel had won glory here, in the splendid victory over Sisera and his host. That's in Judges 5:19. These low hills around Megiddo, with their outlook over the plain of Esdraelon, have witnessed perhaps a greater number of bloody encounters than have ever stained a like area of the world's surface. Right, so particular battles were fought around these areas. So the Mount of Olives is kind of, let's see if we can compare that to where Armageddon is. See, Armageddon is a little bit more by the Sea of Galilee. The Mount of Olives is a little bit more south, right? Which is up here. Salakia, I didn't mean to click on that. So this is how you know it's not talking about that actual, the chariots being in Armageddon, right? Which is in the mountain of troops. This is before that, right? Zechariah 14:6, and it will come to pass in the day that is, it will not be light, clear, and neither obscurity, right? Because that word quapa'ah meaning to congeal, or let me read it first. Wahaya bayawam hahawa la'a yahaya awar yakwarath wa quapa'an. That word yaquar meaning precious, whereas in this is another way to say clear light. Wapa'a meaning to congeal, but it also means basically like a fog. It's not going to be obscure. So it's not going to be, right, neither clear nor obscure. Zechariah 14:6, and it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark, So it's not going to be clear. It's not going to be bright and sunny. It's not going to be like in foggy. You're not going to see what's going on, right? It's going to be a day like no other, right? Because you're going to see the chariots. The Lord is going to, right? The chariots are going to do their work, right? Yahweh Shai is going to, it's going to be like something you never seen, basically, right? It's basically what it's saying. Let's look at that word, quapa'a. Let's look at your quar first. Strong's H3368. Quar, heavy, precious, precious stones. Honored, magnificent, splendid just means precious, or of reputation, or clearness, figuratively. Because the actual word for clearness would be tahar, which means pure, or zak, meaning zakah, or zakah, meaning basically basically like see-through, like pure and clear, right? This is Strong's H7087, quapa'a. To contract, to draw out, to curdle, to congeal, to thicken, which is used in reference of congealed, as in something being made still. Right? It's not going to be something that's going to be still. It's going to be a quick, right? Yahweh Shai is just going to command the chariots, the elect are going to go out. Boom, boom, boom. That's it. Zechariah 14:7, and it will come to pass, and it will be a day one that is, which will be known unto the Lord. It will not be day, and it will not be night. And it will come to pass in the time of the evening, there shall be light. Meaning this will be done in one day, right? Which the whole earth will know the Lord. Right? It's not going to take a year, 6 years, 7 years for the Lord to destroy America, Babylon the Great, and subjugate the Yahweh Shai, to subjugate the heathen. It's going to take 1 hour to destroy America, Babylon the Great. The chariots, right? It's going to be all one day, right? In which the world, the name of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, will be magnified in that day. It's not going to be day, it's not going to be night, the sun ain't going to be shining, it's not going to be completely dark, right? It's going to be, you're going to see mushroom clouds, right? You're going to see flashes, lightnings, right? It's just going to be a notable day, basically. That's what it's saying. In the time of the evening, it shall be light, because Yahweh Shai, right, the holy angels, right, all that, it's going to be pure righteousness returning, right? So it says, Wa haya yawam achad hawa yadai la Yahweh la'a yawam wa la'a la yala wa haya la aitha irab Yahaya awar. Zechariah 14:8, and it shall come to pass in the day that is, shall go out waters, living waters from Jerusalem, Wahaya bayawam hahawa, Wayataza'awa, Mayam, Hayayam, Mayarashalam, Chatazayim, half unto the west, or Salakia, half unto the eastern sea, Chatazayim al Hayam Hakwadamnaya, and half unto the sea western, Wa Chatazayim al Hayam Haran, in summer and in winter it shall be, Ba Wayataza Waba Harap Yahaya, right? What you read about that account in the book of Revelation. Let's get that real quick. Revelation 22 and 2. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. The either side of the river, right, which is the east and to the west, which represents, right, righteousness going out throughout the whole earth. Zechariah, and you read about that in the book of Ezekiel as well. I believe that's chapter 47. See if we can just get that real quick. Ezekiel 47 and 1. Afterward he brought me again unto the door of the house, and behold, waters issued out from under the threshold of the house eastward. For the forefront of the house stood towards the east, and the waters came down from under the right side of the house at the south side of the altar. Basically, this is just, I might do a video on that in the near future, but it's talking about just the earth being restored, the nations being brought under subjection and righteousness, right? And the earth and the nations being healed, right? But the important thing is right, the living waters is the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Zechariah 14 and 9. And it shall come to pass, the Lord will reign upon all the earth in a day that is. There will be the Lord one, and his name one. Wahaya Yahweh la Malak al Kal ha Ratazah Bayawam ha Hawa Yahaya Yahweh Achad Wa Shamwa Achad. right? Through his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, and the elect, 144,000 in the great multitude, and the rest of Israel that are born in the regeneration, right? Basically, uh, we're gonna be all on one accord, right? Zechariah 14:10, round about all the earth shall be like the plain from Geba to Raman, south of Jerusalem, and will be lifted up and will be inhabited in its place, from the gate of Benjamin, even unto the east, to the gate former, as in the old gate, even unto the gate on the corner, and from the gate of Hananel, even unto the winepress of the king. Yasab kol ha-ratazah ka-arabah, which arabah just means a plain or the outskirt of a city. Ma gabai la Raman Nagab, meaning south of Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, Wa Ra'amah, which is a Rawam or a Rum, meaning to be exalted. So basically, all that area is going to be the building of the new Garden of Eden. It's going to be as a plain. It's going to be turned into a plain by the destruction, and the Israelites will reign in that land. It's going to be a very exalted kingdom. The structure is going to be a great structure, unlike what you ever something like you never seen in your life. What mortal eyes have never seen, right? Waya Shabbat Thachathiyah, and will be inhabited in its place. Ma Shayor Banyaman Ad Makwam Shayor, even from before the gate, the old gate, Ha Ra'ashan, even unto the gate of the corner, Ad Shayor Hapanyam, and from the gate of Hananel, or Slakia, from the tower, Magadol Hananel, even unto the winepress of the king, Ad Yaquabia Hamalak, which again is not talking about the Valley of Decision. It's talking about, let's look at the Bible map. Geba is a little bit towards the south. Right, just to give you an idea, the Mount of Olives is alright, Bethlehem is right here. Mount of Olives is near Jerusalem. You have Geba, and you have Bethlehem up here, so it's a little bit up north, right? Because up north is where that destruction is of the armies is going to happen. So the chariots are going to return, go south, right? Part of that temple, right? The structure is going to be, right, made as a plain, right? However it's going to happen, right? Speaking as a man, but basically, right, you're gonna have Yahweh Shai. It's like you're gonna have the chariot, the fathership and the chariots, right? You're gonna have the elect all standing nearby, right? And he's probably just going to zap the land, and just make it plain, make it into a place meek meet for the great structure. Great structure, right? Zechariah 14 and 11. And will be turned back upon it, and lifting up the sword will not be any more. Which you read about that in Ezekiel chapter 38. There will not be a war anymore. The weapons of war are going to be burnt up, and right, there's going to be a turning back of that destruction that the Lord decreed. Right, let's get Ezekiel chapter 38. Ezekiel 39 and 4. Thou shalt fall upon the mountains of Israel, thou and all thy bands, and the people that is with thee. I will give thee unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured. Thou shalt fall upon the open field, for I have spoken it, saith the Lord God. And I will send a fire on Magog, among them that dwell carelessly in the isles, and they shall know that I am the Lord. That represents World War III, Gog and Magog, Russia, China, Iran, all these superpowers, right, and the other nations that are in the midst of the whole earth, right, dwelling carelessly, thinking that the Lord is not going to act, the Lord is not going to make his move. He's already making his move, right, through the servants of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, through the Holy Spirit, Rakakodash, right, and they shall know that I am the Lord, saith the Lord of hosts. Right, that's what the Lord is saying. Right, the Lord of armies. Ezekiel 39 and 7. So I will make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel, and I will not let them pollute my holy name any more. And the heathen shall know that I am the Lord, the Holy One in Israel. Behold, it is come and it is done, saith the Lord God. This is the day whereof I have spoken. And they that shall dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth, and shall set on fire, and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers, the bows and the arrows and the handstaves, and the spears, and they shall burn them with fire 7 years. Let's talk about the elect burning the weapons of war, the weapons of war that remain, which is why there's going to be a dispersion of the elect and the holy angels, right? Which is basically talking about the same thing. Right, which is right, basically you're gonna have, right, Yahushai and, right, all the elect and the holy angels, right, they're just going to zap these weapons of war after they gather them, right, from the midst of the earth, after they go and, right, grab them all, grab the heathens, grab the remnant, bring them back, bring the weapons, right, burn the weapons, chain the heathens up, bring the remnant. So the destruction will not be lifting up the sword anymore, which is what Haram means a band, but it also means lifting up of the sword, something that is devoted to destruction figuratively. And will dwell Jerusalem unto security. Vayeshabah Yerushalayim Labatach. Zechariah 14 and 12. And this will be the plague which he shall smite the Lord unto all of the nations which go out into war against Jerusalem. Waza'ath Thahaya Ha Magapa Ashar Yagap Yahweh Atha Kol Ha'amayim Ashar Tazaba'awa Al Yerushalayim. So it says Hamak Basharwa, meaning their flesh will consume away, and he that standeth upon his feet, Wa Hawa Imad Al Regal Yawa. So basically it's saying will consume away his flesh, he that standeth upon his feet, and his eyes shall be consumed away upon its sockets. Wa ayan yawa tha makwana ba haryahan. Because that word har meaning, it's another way to say white. Laban meaning white, but har also means white in the sense of something that is bleached. Because your eye sockets, the white of the eyes, it looks like something that has been bleached white. It's just another way to say eye socket. And their tongues shall consume away in their mouth. Walashanwa Thamak Papayaham. Just talking about the destruction, basically those that are 2/3 that are left in America, Babylon the Great, the other nations, and Esau that is left in America, Babylon the Great, throughout the whole earth, those that are left and are destroyed in the wars. But mainly it's talking about the destruction, right? Zechariah in America, Babylon the Great. Zechariah 14:13. And it shall come to pass in the day that is, there shall be tumult, a tumult from the Lord great upon them. Wa haya bayawam hahawa thahaya mawamath Yahweh Rabbah Baham. Basically, it's talking about when Yahweh shows up, the chariots, right? They're going to be in astonishment, right? They're going to say, "Oh shit, the Lord is visiting the earth," right? They didn't believe it, right? They saw the chariots, they saw the servants of the Lord, right? But the Esau's carnal, the nations are carnal. They wanna see everything. They're used to instantaneous. Right, especially here in America, Babylon Great, instantaneous satisfaction. Right, everything. People want everything like right away. But that's not how the Lord works, right? We're on the Lord's time. We're not on your time, basically, right? And it says, and it shall take a hold a man with his hand upon his neighbor, and will raise up his hand upon the hand of his neighbor. Basically, right? One land shall go up against another, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. They're not going to regard their princes, their governors. They're going to say, they're going to be in that fuck it spirit, right? Because it's going to be about survival in that day, right before all hell breaks loose and World War III kicks off, right? Waha Chazayakwa Ayash Yad Rayawa Wa Ilatha Yadwa Al Yad Rayawa. You read about that in second address, right? Not going to regard their princes, their governors. Zechariah 14:14. And even Judah shall fight in Jerusalem, and will gather the wealth of all the nations round about, gold and silver and garments many exceedingly. Wagam Yahawada Thalaham By Yerushalayim wa asap chayel, chayel meaning mighty, but it also denotes riches. Kol hagwayim sabyab zahab wa kasap wa bagadium, as in and garments great, larab ma'ad. So we're not going to actually be gathering clothing. That's just talking about, right, when the kingdom of heaven is established, right, we're going to have control over all these things. Right? We're not going to be sitting there picking gold out the ground with spiritual power. We're going to be able to do that because we're going to control the elements. We're just going to lift up all the gold and, right, there may be any, we're not going to sit there and pick garments off dead bodies and shit, right? That's not what it's talking about. And Judah, right? Judah's gonna be there. The tribes, the remnant, mainly. But it always talks about Judah because that's the heads. Zechariah 14 and 15. And so it shall be the plague of the horse, of the mule, of the camel, and the ass, all the beasts which there will be in the encampment. They shall be according to the plague this, or they shall be smitten, basically, right? That plague is what? Basically in World War III, right? The horses, all cattle, right? Right. A lot of that is going to be destroyed, right? So what you see in these farmlands and all that, right, all that's just going to be done. It's going to be consumed, right? Particular cattle that are in, for example, in the eastern parts of the world, right? Right. However, that person gets it in World War III, right? During the when the stars of heaven fall, which represents the ICBM missiles, the cattle, they're gonna get that same destruction, right? Because that word maganap, or Salakia, magapa, nagap meaning to smite, magapa meaning a plague, parad meaning a mule. A mule is a breed of a donkey and horse. Zechariah 14:16, and it shall come to pass, all that remain from all the nations that come up against Jerusalem, and will ascend up in its time from year upon year to worship unto the King, the Lord of hosts, and to feast, and to perform to the feast of tabernacles. Wahaya call Hadnathar. Hadnathar, Yathar means a remnant or to remain. It's another way to say that. Yathar just means a excess or a remaining of something. Makal Hagawayim Haba'ayim Al Yerushalayim Wa'alwa Madya. Because that word Madya, Madad meaning to measure. Madya just means from a particular time, right? Basically, that's what it's saying. From the time of year upon year, right? Basically, it's just saying, it's another way to say from year upon year. is why it says Madya Shana Bashana Laha Shatachath La Malak Yahweh Tazabawath Walahag Athahag Hasakath. Zechariah 14:17. And it shall come to pass which they which do not ascend up from the clans of the earth to Jerusalem to worship the Lord, to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, there shall not be upon them, and upon them there will not be upon them showers or rain. The actual word for rain is matar, kasham, meaning shower. Wahaya ashar la'ah ya ilah ma'ath ma shapachta ha rataza al Yerushalayim laha shatachath la malak Yahweh tazabawath wa la'ah al Yaham Yahaya ha Gasham. Zechariah 14:18. And lo, the clans of Egypt, and if the clans of Egypt do not ascend up and do not enter and do not come in, as in to keep the feast, and there will not be upon and will not be upon them, and there will not be upon them Slake. And if the clans of Egypt do not ascend up and do not enter or do not come to the feast, there will not be will not be upon them the plague which shall afflict the Lord unto the nations which shall not ascend up to keep to the Feast of Tabernacles. Basically, it's saying, and if the clans of Egypt refuse and do not go to keep the feast, right? Meaning they have to go, or else there will not be upon them the plague which he will smite the Lord unto the nations which will not ascend up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles, which is talking about the rain. Not that consuming fire, because this is after the consuming fire. So it says, Wa'am mashapachta muntazorium la'atha ilah wa la'a ba'ah wa la'a al yaham thahaya hamagapa ashar yagap Yahweh atha hagawayim ashar la'a ya'alwa lahag athahag hasakath. Which they're gonna do it willingly. They're gonna be happy to keep the feast, right? Zechariah 14:19. This will be the sin of Egypt and the sin of all the nations which will not ascend up to keep unto the Feast of Tabernacles. Sa'ath thahaya chata'ath matazarium wa chata'ath kol hagawayim ashar la'ah ya'alwa lahag athahag hasakath, which is there not being rain. In the day that is, there will be upon the bells of the horses holiness unto the Lord, and will be the pots in the house of the Lord according to the basins before the altar. Basically, Salakia. Basically, the people are going to be all righteous. The bells and the horses, right? Everything's going to be glorious. They're going to be of gold. There's going to be inscriptions on them. Holiness unto the Lord, just like the diadem of Aaron, right? And the Levitical priests. Everything's gonna have be inscribed, and right, it's gonna be just talking about the glory of the kingdom. By Yawam HaHawa Yahaya al Matazalath, because that word Tazal means something that rings, or that's basically talking about a bell, or bells, plural, matazalath. Hasawas Kwadash La Yahweh Wahaya Ha-Sayarath Babayath Yahweh Kamazarakim Lapanya Ha-Mazabach. Zechariah 14:21. And it shall come to pass, all the pots in Jerusalem and in Judah which shall be holy unto the Lord of hosts, and will enter all the sacrifices, and that which is taken from them, and its flesh that is upon them, and there will not be a Canaanite any more in the house of the Lord of hosts in the day that is. Wahaya called Sayar by Yerushalayim, or by Yahawada, Wadash la Yahawah Tazabawath, wa ba'awa, call Hazabachim, wa la Kwachwa, Maham, wa Bashalwa, Baham, wa la Yahaya, Kanayanaya, Iwad, Babayat Yahawah, Tazabawath, Bayawam, Hawa. Basically, Israel's just going to come back, right? In the past, basically, Israel didn't completely kick out the Canaanites off those particular areas in Jerusalem, right? There were still particular tribes, Canaanite tribes, but now it's going to be a separation, right? The kingdom established, and right, everything's going to be in its proper place by Hashem Mashiach Yahushai, right? So with that, this brother Tazdak here of Israel, the Zechariah chapter 14, going into the Hebrew. So Lord willing, you ratified, and as always, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Mekakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, the great millstone. Kwam Yasha Allah, Abad Wal, and Shalom.